Oh, well, it just so happened. Just so happens to be part 2 of Brick City Blockade live here from Stairway to Heaven Comics in Newington, New Hampshire. What is up, folks? How's it going? I don't know. I just threw up some gang symbols.
The gang's all here.
The number 2.
It's the number 2.
It's the number 2.
It's the number 2.
We don't
single
condone.
fingers.
We don't condone.
The only gang we're in, the only gang we're in is in the Star Wars gang.
That's true. That's true. Crimson Dawn. We could piss them off.
I disagree.
Wholeheartedly?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't run with them anymore, but I run with one of the biggest, best armed gangs ever.
Really?
Yeah, an armored fighting vehicle, man. We all wore the same uniform.
That's the most American response you'll ever hear.
America, except not really in this case at all.
But no, listen, we're back here, Stairway to Heaven Comics. Hopefully all of you enjoyed the first half. We talked about many different things. We took some bets. Shaved eyebrows are on the line, and
embarrassing baby pictures, and
embarrassing raps.
Embarrassing raps, all that kind of stuff is on the line, coming up really soon. But here in the second half, something interesting happened at Token's Tap Room last night. And yes, that. And
I went down on some House of the Dead.
You really did. You really did.
I kicked ass in Street Fighter as Chun-Li.
You did.
Chun-Li's the best, man.
It's the one to go with every time, every single time. And
you just got to sing Chun-Li now after the Nicki Minaj song. So
that's true. That's a good point. And during our Star Wars conversation, James, you said something very interesting.
Yeah, I have an opinion that I actually have been holding back for a while, mostly because of the backlash that people have been getting for posting their Star Wars related opinions online.
Right.
And we all know that I'm not a huge fan of The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi.
No.
I loved Solo, I loved Rogue One,
yep.
But the main series films, I have been a little bit disillusioned by.
Right.
And Lucasfilm and Disney, specifically Lucasfilm, has this penchant for throwing in some very well-known actors with some virtual no-names.
Right.
And I don't like the character of Kylo Ren. Actually, correction. I like the character of Kylo Ren. I don't like how he's portrayed. Okay. I don't think he's given enough justice. And I really don't like the character of Rey.
Yeah.
And for me, it's more we have another teenage nobody who is incredibly force sensitive, who's going to be this new power, who is naturally has this ability with a lightsaber. And for me, it's not believable. The amount of training that Luke had to go through before losing to Darth Vader in Bespin was astronomical. And the amount of training that Rey had before she faced down someone who Luke Skywalker had trained personally and won, arguably won, is negligible at best. She had none, and that should not have been able to happen. I can understand, and this is also one of the issues that I have with Finn is he's an Imperial stormtrooper.
Right.
He's too much of a whiny bitch to be an Imperial stormtrooper. Yeah. And I get where he has a change of conscience and everything, but at that point, he is a highly trained soldier. He should not be sitting there. And that's why I thought it was believable when he picked up the lightsaber and did everything that he could possibly do. That's where Finn redeemed himself for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But for the rest of that, he's a trained soldier. The First Order stormtroopers have been through countless simulation battles that seem real to them.
Right.
So there's no way that he would have reacted the way that he did at that battle. If he had a change of conscience, then what he would have done is turned around and started firing at his own people. Or he would have run off and then
something a little more radical.
Right.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more radical than what he did, just, ditching his helmet and running off and crying. And
essentially, yeah.
So that brings me back to Rey. I don't think she's a necessary character. I think she's a broken character. I think she's a blip in the Star Wars universe. And this is not saying anything bad about Daisy Ridley or her job playing the character of Rey. I respect the hell out of that. I think that Daisy Ridley is an incredibly talented actress.
Yes.
and I think her talent is being wasted playing Rey. And she stated that after Episode 9, she's not going to do any more Star Wars movie, which is the best career move she could possibly make. Because we've seen that Star Wars either makes or breaks somebody's acting career. It doesn't. It's one or the other, and there's no middle ground.
Right.
I mean, there's that one exception with Natalie Portman. Middle ground.
I mean,
she was starting to become established even before then, though.
Yeah, and then she's done a lot of really big movies afterwards. So I'd say that it kind of made her career. And I wouldn't really say that. I don't think she was really taken seriously as an actress until
she did an SNL skit around it.
Right.
I mean, that's how much it means to her.
And she's also Natalie Portman's one of the most good-natured human beings on the face of the planet.
And she's a phenomenal actor.
She's Israeli-born and gorgeous, and B, she's incredibly in touch with not only her sense of self but her roots, and that's one thing that I really respect about her. Not just as an actress, as a person. And the other thing is, she's educated. I believe that she went to Harvard. And
she's got a Harvard degree.
Yeah, it was I think it was Emma. What's her face from Emma from
Harry Potter?
Yeah, what's her name?
Emma
Watson.
Yeah.
She went to Brown. And Natalie Portman went to Harvard. Mila Kunis, oh God, she went to some big school as well, and I can't remember what it is.
She didn't go to Cornell, did she?
No, she didn't go to Cornell. My mom went to Cornell. I know that. But there's a lot. This generation of extremely well-educated actresses who aren't being taken seriously, and Natalie Portman has very much managed to break through that and be taken seriously as an actress, but also as a human being. And that's one thing I respect about her. But back to Rey. Daisy Ridley is 26 years old. She's a new actress. She broke onto the scene a little bit late, but she broke on with this massive franchise. And the best career move that she could make is getting away from the Star Wars series.
I agree.
And I think that Lucasfilm and Disney, for the continuity of the series, because they're talking about, after doing 9, they're talking about doing 10, 11, and 12. If you do 10, 11, and 12 and you're going to have it set in the future, you need to kill Rey off in the next movie.
Interesting.
You need to have the bad guys win. You need to have a series of movies that ends with a true bad guy victory, like Revenge of the Sith.
True.
Revenge of the Sith ends with the fall of the Republic and the bad guys taking control, and that's what we need to have happen again. Empires rise and fall. We need to establish an enemy, an empire that is just as scary as the Galactic Empire, if not more so. Something that's as scary as the old Sith Empire.
Yeah.
We need to establish something like
numbers,
that. So if you're going to do 10, 11, and 12, you're going to want to establish Kylo Ren when he's older, when he's finished his training, when he's gone to Korriban, Biss. We talked about Mustafar at one point. When he's gone to all these dark side locations, when he found the newly recanonized Exar Kun's temple on Yavin 4.
Yeah.
And when he's uncovered the secrets of the Sith and he's become this ridiculous, all-powerful Sith Lord, then you have the hero appear. Then you have the balance brought to the Force. And then you have the Jedi. They ended. Rey's gone. Luke's gone. The Jedi knowledge, who knows where that's going to end up when they kill off Rey, if they kill off Rey. And beyond there, you're going to have somebody find that Jedi knowledge, realize there is something that can be done. Because you set up at the end of The Last Jedi, the kid who uses the Force to pick up the broom and everything.
Broom boy, yeah.
Right, Broom Boy. He's one of my favorite parts of that movie. One of the parts that the only parts that I found actually credible is now you have this kid who's like, I'm not the only one.
That's true. That's
You've got this whole new generation of heroes, this new generation of Force-sensitive individuals from all species who could be a potential force for good in the galaxy. And I think if you're going to have a successful movie series, you have to have them plunged into a galaxy of absolute darkness, where every time they make a decision in their day-to-day lives just to survive, they are tempting the dark side of the Force. They're tempting that balance, that line, trying to be good people because that's in their nature as Force-sensitive beings, and having that daily struggle against that alternative side. And I firmly believe the only way that we're going to accomplish that is by killing off Rey and getting rid of the good characters that we have now. Maybe Poe Dameron or Finn escapes and they come back in one of the later movies as an older version of themselves. They're lying low somewhere out on the outer rim, somewhere in the unknown regions. Maybe they've made contact with the Chiss. Because the Chiss Empire, maybe we can bring the Hapes Consortium into it. Maybe we can bring in any of these other smaller entities in the galaxy that are nonetheless autonomous and have them hiding out there, have them plotting, have them planning, have them in these like I said, autonomous regions that don't really have any interest in galactic politics. So they're not going to get involved, but they're safe while they're there. That way it's credible. And that way you have a basis, and that way you have those familiar characters. And the other thing I really think that Disney and Lucasfilm need to do is stop pulling up no-name actors and everything, because you just bought a franchise. And even with the Phantom Menace, you had a lot of no-name actors in there. Ewan McGregor was relatively unknown at that point. He'd done a couple of really good movies. Trainspotting is a fantastic movie.
Great movie.
It hits you right in the feels too, and it scares the hell out of you about halfway through. And if you are ever considering trying heroin, watch Trainspotting, and you will never go near it again. It's a terrifying movie, and it really brings into light a lot of the realities surrounding the situation worldwide. It's the opioid epidemic. Yeah, epidemic. I call it more of a crisis, and a mismanagement of the healthcare system. But Ewan McGregor was relatively unknown. You had Liam Neeson in there. You had what's the guy's name? You had Ian McDermott, Natalie Portman, Samuel L. Jackson, and Frank Oz. You had a lot of big names in that movie, and not forget Keira Knightley.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Appearances from.
Yep. A lot of big names in that movie who played minor characters, and that's kind of the pattern that I'm seeing here. And what I think should happen, at least from a little bit of a better standpoint. And actually, we also saw this with Rogue One, and Rogue One's one of the few places where this formula worked. Because you had Forrest Whitaker and Donnie Yen, to name a couple of them, and they're huge name actors. Felicity Jones as well. And just going through, Alan Tudyk too. And just going through that formula, it works sometimes. It worked for Solo. It worked for Rogue One. It did not work for the new movies. And with the new movies being the canon trilogy
the new movie that kind of worked with Laura Dern was kind of, but she's not really a huge actor.
The big actors that you had there were Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and oh my God, no, Carrie Fisher. Wow, I am so sorry. My brain just went. I was like Carrie Elwes because I just met him a couple weeks ago. Carrie Fisher. And they're the big name actors that you have in these movies. In Episode 9, we're going to add in Billy D. Williams to that mix. And obviously, Mark Hamill's not really going to be in it too much. And Harrison Ford's not going to be in it. And Carrie Fisher, rest her, is obviously not going to be in it. So that's the formula they're going with again. But I think they should start switching that a little bit. And maybe having some of the main characters played by big name actors.
Yeah.
Give them the Star Wars contract for a second. And then the minor roles where you see all these big name actors, give those parts to minor actors, to people who haven't really been established in the acting community. To give them the basis to make them able to succeed in their careers,
right,
without the stigma of Star Wars attached to it.
Yeah.
And one person that who actually kind of set me on this path is Nalini Krishan. Who I've talked with numerous occasions. We interviewed her about a year and a half ago at White Mountain Con.
Yep.
And we stayed in contact via Facebook. We used to play Words with Friends together. And she's doing a lot more producing and directing now. And one of the things that she said that really kind of stuck with me is that being in Star Wars and having that as your only acting credit is more detrimental to your career. And it's very difficult to break into the field with something that huge as, as the only thing on your docket for acting.
Right.
So the major characters, give that off to somebody who's already got an established acting record, and minor characters, let them be played by people who don't really have an acting career yet. So they can have the Star Wars on there, but instead of that being like a major part and being like, oh well, you're going to be typecast now as a sci-fi character, they have the ability to branch out and try out for other roles now.
Right. Right.
I mean, same thing with Marvel too. It's all casted to the big name actors. You got Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. You got Henry Cavill as Superman. Not anymore, but
right.
Ben Affleck, Christian Bale,
Scarlett Johansson. All the
Benedict Cumberbatch,
Doctor Strange.
Yep, Doctor Strange himself. That man.
Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
Hell with Tobey Maguire, dude. Like honestly,
no, I don't like it, but
I liked him in Seabiscuit.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
I didn't particularly enjoy him as Spider-Man. I don't think he was believable in the part.
I liked him in the first one. That's why
The first one is actually the one that I liked him the least in. I liked him in the second one the best.
The second one's one of my favorite ones. It was Dr. Oct is one of my favorites.
Doc Ock was fantastic.
He's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains of all time.
I thought that Willem Dafoe was an absolutely perfect.
You have a
cast
soft spot for Willem Dafoe.
I do have a soft spot for Willem Dafoe. He's a fantastic actor, and I thought he was a great Green Goblin. And I thought the casting James Franco as his son was a terrible idea. Was that James Franco? That was James Franco.
James Franco is a good actor, but he's a big actor. But he's not a phenomenal actor. Like Seth Rogen, he's not a phenomenal actor, but he's a big actor.
Right, but Seth Rogen has the ability to write and direct and be genuinely funny.
Right.
And so does James Franco to a slightly lesser extent, which is why I think that he's so good at piggybacking off of Seth Rogen.
And then you have Donald Glover. That's what I said earlier last night. I think Donald Glover could produce or write a Star Wars film.
He's a huge Star Wars fan too, and that's the thing he's an established musician. He's an established actor, and he could have the ability to write or direct a Star Wars movie or TV series.
I mean, he directs Atlanta. He produced, directs, and writes and stars in it. So why not he could do Star Wars too?
Now, one of the things that came up last night is another actor who I know that he's kind of a love him or hate him actor, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Right.
And lately he's been in a couple of pretty funny things, like the remake of Baywatch. I wanted to hate it. I really wanted to hate it.
But you ended up
but I have tremendous respect for Zac Efron as an actor.
Wow.
And he's a fantastic actor, and he has the ability to play a variety of parts. Have you seen Dirty Grandpa?
Oh yeah,
High School Musical.
Right. Fuck High School. Sorry, pardon my language. High School Musical was terrible. But it is what kicked off his career, though, and it's a typical Disney thing. But I get it. Pre-Star Wars Disney thing. Sorry. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson actually has acting ability, and as we found out, and especially what I was really impressed with was him doing his own singing in Moana. And
that's one of my favorite movies that he's been in.
Absolutely.
He does great. I think he has a better acting voice than like stage acting.
Right.
I think he should go more into.
Absolutely. I think he'd be a fantastic voice actor. And the problem that he runs into is he's a big dude. He's a big, buff, muscular dude.
He's a big man.
So he's going to get typecast often, and he does.
He does.
And that's something that he's actually said that he would like to break away from in interviews. And while he does have a wildly successful career, I agree he would be a fantastic voice actor. But we were talking last night, and another name that came up alongside him is another, Islander, big, scary actor, Mr. Khal Drogo, Mr. Ronan Dex himself, Mr. Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa, Mr. I like to drink beer and throw tomahawks.
And we didn't talk about, but I think another actor in that realm is Dave Bautista, who plays Drax.
Absolutely.
And, Bautista could.
No, actually, that's one that we didn't talk about last night.
No,
that's right.
But last night we threw around if The Rock played Cade Queldroma, and then Jason Momoa came on and played Ulick Queldroma. I think.
But would Dave Bautista be able to play in Star Wars since he's already he's in a Marvel Disney film?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a grand total of 3 people I'd like to see cast as Dash Rendar, and Chris Pratt is one of them, so that you could have the crossover there. And that's if they ever decide to canonize Dash Rendar.
I say you can, because we see Donald Glover in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
And I think that if you were to do, see you later, Brad.
Take care, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
But if you were to cast Dave Bautista in a Star Wars role, you would end up having to typecast him. I was impressed with him as Drax, and it's more the fact that a lot of his lines as Drax are improvised. And he's very good at the off the cuff humor there, and he's good at
his good timing, like Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pratt, he's on the same level as that.
Yep.
If you were to cast Dave Bautista in a Star Wars film, you'd have to move him out of his comfort zone. You'd have to put him as a good, believable character.
Yeah.
and you'd be wanting to cast him as, you know, a smuggler or a tough of some type in a cantina. But I think that Dave Bautista would be excellent as an old order Jedi if we ever get like an old Old Republic series.
I could see him as like a type of Chancellor type character.
Yeah. And actually, who was it that we said would play Candace Ordo the other night? That would be Thanos.
Yes.
Oh,
Josh Brolin as Candace Ordo. I actually think Dave Bautista wouldn't be a bad choice for that role either.
Oh, that's true. He wouldn't be a bad option either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I feel that, and this is another one that kind of popped into my head at one point, was Dave Bautista playing Darth Bane.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Because when you look at some of the past,
I'm just picturing him in Darth Bane's armor, and
that's same here.
Well, right? and the eye makeup and everything.
Well, it works because Drax is all in makeup and all that.
I like the cut of this armor. I have very sensitive nipples.
And the whole point in that is, we saw this with Kane, and I'm going back to Andrew Merton Garrish, WWE Chalk Talk, and the whole concept of former WWE wrestlers playing almost like a horror movie role. We saw a lot of that in the early 2000s when The Rock was first starting to get into the acting world. He had some small roles in some horror films. Kane was also somebody like that.
Do we see former sportsmen or sportswomen playing in stars film like
yeah, I think WWE candidates are the perfect people for that.
It depends on the acting skills, because like we've talked about, LeBron James is starting an actor.
Yeah, and the Trainwreck was a funny movie, and LeBron James managed to be the funniest part of that movie.
Yeah.
So either he's very good at following directions, or he's a very funny guy. And either way, I think that casting, you know, some of these former athletes who have retired in movies is great, because they already know how to react on camera, they already know how to talk to people, and they already know how to be interviewed.
I mean, look at Michael Jordan doing Space Jam.
That was a terrible movie. That's a horrible example.
I like Space Jam, so.
Anyway,
I like the soundtrack.
to break the tension that was created through Space Jam, Dave Bautista playing Darth Bane, the background makes sense. There's something there that they could play with. I'm even looking at somebody.
Then who are you going to get to play Kids Guy?
It's funny. You really could. If you have somebody like Dave Bautista playing Darth Bane, okay? You don't have to go top billed actor for a lot of the other characters.
True.
You don't have to.
I mean,
would it help?
There's always those. It doesn't have to be movie actors. There's always television actors, of course. I mean, look at Kerry Russell becoming from what's that show?
I know what you're talking about.
The Americans.
The Americans.
So, and she's moving TV to Star Wars,
right?
Which is big for her. I think.
Well, Matt Smith too.
Yeah, I mean, here's something that I didn't really think of before. And let me see what you guys think. First of all, I have always had one actor picked out for Prince Shizor.
Okay.
You may or may not agree with.
Okay.
And I'm going by voice quality and the fact that he's going to be in makeup, but I think he could play the part well, and that's Jason Statham.
Oh.
So
yes.
You just picture Jason Statham.
That accent.
The accent alone,
Prince
the voice,
Caesar.
like deep, gravelly North British accent. Like, I think it would be fantastic as Prince Shizor. And the reason that I bring Jason Statham up is actors who are well known, they're a face, but they've never been really great.
That's true.
And they are always typecast.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Vin Diesel's done.
Well, look, he's Groot, but
he's Groot now, and one of the things I loved about that is all the languages that he says "I am Groot" in, which is like something like 41 different languages he got dubbed into. He recorded his voice in each one of those languages.
Do we see Vin Diesel doing another voice acting for an alien species for Star Wars, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, like I think
really
Vin
cool.
Diesel has one of those voices where even if he's not in front of the camera, you could use him for stuff. But where was I before that?
Sorry,
trying to make a point.
Prince Shizor.
Prince Shizor. actors who were never really great, and they want a big role in something, and they're willing to step outside of their comfort zone a little bit because they're tired of being typecast.
Right.
And, you know, people like, you know, you Jason Statham, even if you brought in, and I mentioned this the other day, bringing in Bruce Willis or somebody like that in the Star Wars universe, I think it'd be a really great fit in a cantina somewhere.
That would be.
You know, I mean, it's like, you know, do like a Star Wars version of Die Hard or something.
Huh. You could do that. You have enough directorial talent out there that could totally pick up the Die Hard concept and bring that into Star Wars and do it successfully.
I'd like to see Simon Pegg infiltrate the Star Wars universe.
Wow. Simon Pegg has infiltrated the Star Wars universe.
Not really, but what's that movie with the alien?
Paul,
yeah. I love that movie.
Well, he was a performance capture aliens in multiple films, so he's there.
I'd like to see him as a voice talent on one of these shows.
I could see that.
Another one of those people that I could sit there and listen to talk all day.
Yeah, he is one of those.
Along with myself, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. I talk too much.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a powerhouse of voice actors in a Star Wars film? Put Simon Pegg and Stephen Stanton together. Just put those people together and let them go to town. That's what I say. And I do want to shout out Stephen Stanton. I saw that you got yourself a role in Star Wars Resistance. You're going to be blessing the screens of all of us Star Wars fans going forward. So big shout out to you, Mr. Stephen Stanton. I will be looking forward to your role.
Gentleman and a scholar, if there ever was one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Simon Pegg, it's funny that you bring that up. With all of these Star Wars series, you know, slowly starting to come into existence, Simon Pegg would be a great fit for Jon Favreau's series.
I believe it. Yep.
Like you talked about Rose Leslie for our Jon Favreau series.
I would love to see Rose Leslie cast as Mara Jade.
Yeah.
And
that's
I think she'd be fantastic.
That's
and actually, while we're on it, Cade Skywalker, Kit Harington.
Oh,
works.
I mean, I was just thinking about it. If you dyed his hair blonde, he's already got it. Like,
yeah, that's true.
He could do that.
That's a really good point.
And honestly, a lot of the actors who are in Game of Thrones, I think, would do a fantastic job going and transferring over to Star Wars in some of these roles that we know and love, because they've already got this kind of, especially like Rose Leslie as Mara Jade, and when Emilia Clarke came over and blew the Kira character out of the water. I think that was a fantastic acting choice. And like I said, I'd love to see Jason Momoa come in and be a part of the Star Wars universe, because I think he'd really fit in as well. And I know his schedule is pretty big with Marvel and being Aquaman now, and actually being the only Aquaman. Sorry, DC. I don't know the difference between Marvel and DC. I apologize. I'm a horrible failure as a nerd.
You're in a comic book shop.
Right, and that's my problem. If you want Games Workshop, Black Library, Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Babylon 5, Firefly, any of those, Stargate, I'm your guy. Marvel, DC, these two.
You know who I would love to see in Star Wars film? Anthony Hopkins. Just that narrator.
Who did we have as Darth Plagueis? Willem Dafoe?
You had Willem Dafoe. Yeah.
I'm going to change that. Anthony Hopkins as Darth Plagueis.
As Darth Plagueis.
We've already
like him, like Darth Plagueis, like voiceover, because he's such a, like, if you see him on Westworld, he has a great voiceover, and I think he could do it.
I actually really liked Westworld too.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Newton in Star Wars,
and that's another piece that I think is such an important conversation that I haven't heard a lot of podcasts talk about, but is probably worth having a quick conversation about. Is we do have a lot of people say, "Oh, Jon Favreau, Rian Johnson, what are they working on? J.J. Abrams on Star Wars Episode 9. We forget that Benioff and Weiss are doing their own thing in the Star Wars universe. Two people behind Game of Thrones. Yeah. Taking George R.R. Martin's genius concept of Game of Thrones and taking that to the television.
That's the one that I'm hoping and praying and is an Old Republic series.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I've been on that like 100% since the beginning.
Yeah.
What I would really like to see that be is the lead up to Knights of the Old Republic, where Revan and Malak are Jedi, and then have them find the Star Forge and show the Mandalorian Wars in that.
Yeah.
And show them just crush the Mandalorians. And that I would like to see as a TV series.
How much of what Benioff and Weiss, I mean, Emilia Clarke is introduced in Solo. She plays Kira in the Star Wars universe. Obviously, going forward, I think that we are going to see more inclusions of Game of Thrones actors. It's already happened in many ways. Lorsan Tekka.
And it's not just Star Wars, it's also in Marvel.
Max von Sydow.
I mean, we see Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, and then we see Maisie Williams is going to be in the new Mutants movie.
Right. And I mean, with Benioff and Weiss working on a Star Wars project, and I feel that Solo and the casting of Emilia Clarke as Kira is like Lucasfilm's first shot at saying, remember those actors from Game of Thrones, even though you haven't probably seen it in now a little bit of time? Well, guess what? They're going to start infiltrating the galaxy far, far away. And to be honest with you, I'm wondering how many actors and actresses from Game of Thrones does Benioff and Weiss use in their series?
Probably a lot of minor like a lot of background characters.
At least 2 or 3 in my mind.
The one thing that I really like about Game of Thrones, and it's not just from the fact that it is my favorite TV series of all time, not counting Firefly, because nothing will ever beat Firefly. Please convince me otherwise.
Put the sign up.
Yeah, it's like convince me otherwise, and I will destroy you verbally.
I'm gonna edit that and make that. Okay.
Please do. One of the things I love about Game of Thrones is a lot of the actors that you see in Game of Thrones in real life look nothing like their characters.
That's true.
No.
And you also grabbed, for the first time that I've ever seen it, an acceptable mixture of well-known established actors. Sean Bean.
English actors. Yeah. A lot of English.
And one from New Jersey, Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage.
Sean Bean, Peter Dinklage, all these well-known established English actors who have this incredible talent who aren't being utilized.
It's true.
And bringing them over and being like, this is the level of talent that we are going to expect from you every single season,
right? And
being consistent with it. And what's her name? Cersei Lannister, Lena Headey. Lena Headey as well. And I mean, she's been in tons of shit. I mean, the first time I saw her was in 300.
Yeah,
as his wife.
First thing I saw was Imagine Me and You. Have you seen that?
No.
Imagine Me and You.
Yeah, it's with the girl from Covered Affairs.
Oh,
right.
Oh, yes.
But now that we have this massive outpouring of talent, why not utilize it in some of these other great series? And yeah, it shrinks the actor pool a little bit, but it's also, the level of quality of work that you're going to get out of these people is phenomenal. And we're seeing it consistently over now what's going to be the 8th season of Game of Thrones?
Last season.
This is 8th season now.
8th season, yeah.
No, we're going to be seeing the 8th season of Game of Thrones. And it's one of the few things that I'm going into the 8th season just being like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're past the end of the books now. I have no clue what's going to happen. Nobody has any clue what's going to happen. But I have absolute faith in the fact that no matter what they do, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And applying that talent to something like Star Wars, that's what Star Wars needs now.
It does.
Is the expectation. They need the unexpected. And the unexpected, unfortunately for Star Wars right now, is that is that we want to expect greatness. And
yeah, that's true.
I would like Star Wars to be at the point again where we can expect greatness and then have that greatness delivered, which has not been the pattern for me. It's been on again, off again, literally one bad movie, one good movie, one bad movie, one good movie. And that's where it ended for me.
I mean, do we see, I don't know, just going back to actors, do we see, I've just been thinking of, have you guys seen Sorry to Bother You at all? Movie?
No.
I mean, you have Stephen Yen, you have Tessa Thompson, you have Lakeith Strife from Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
It's one of the movies that you don't expect anything. You can't. It's one of those movies you don't know what's going to happen next. It just blows your mind, and I think it's a satire movie on the political standpoint of America right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one of those?
I know, it's pretty crazy, huh?
Wow.
Didn't know it existed.
No, and I think Star Wars could do something not like similar to that, but like do something the unexpected, like you said, James,
just out of left field.
It really has to.
And that movie is
way out.
You cannot predict the ending of the movie.
Right now, what I'd like to do is issue a challenge to Lucasfilm and Disney.
Go for it.
The face reveal of Darth Revan in Knights of the Old Republic. If you can recreate that feeling of, oh my God, my brain just imploded with me, with any movie or TV series, you will renew my faith in the Star Wars franchise. And don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars. I will always love Star Wars. And when the movies come out, I will watch the movies. And I will enjoy the movies to a point. And I'm never going to sit here and trash Star Wars or anything, but I have yet to find myself blown away from a storyline standpoint. And we went over Last Jedi from a visual effects standpoint. They made everybody, with that hyperspace collision, they made everybody in the theater stop breathing for a minute. And I would really like you to do that with my brain, please, and make my brain stop breathing for a minute. And just kind of, I mean, more than
Westworld does that to my brain.
Oh, it does that all the time. Westworld's fucked up. But I'd like to get that feeling from a Star Wars movie again. I want to get that Luke, I am your father. Oh my God, no, that's not true. That's impossible.
Nobody knew that.
I want to get that again. I want that level of just, oh my God. And I feel like they have the ability to deliver on that. I think they're holding themselves back.
They got close for me for the Solo movie with Darth Maul, but not really. Oh my God, that was more of a fan service.
That was more of like as soon as they start mentioning Crimson Dawn, you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I was just not overly thrilled with that. Like, it's like, okay, cool, we got Darth Maul. Awesome.
Well, that also brings up the point, and I've been kind of sitting on this one for a long time, and I guess now's a good time to bring it up while I'm live here, is the whole concept of, you're not going to please everybody. You're not going to. It's just... No. That's just how impossible. Lucasfilm, it is almost impossible. And the Darth Maul segment within Solo: A Star Wars Story, from my understanding, was Dave Filoni saying, you know what? This isn't really going to end up being for the hardcore fans. This is going to be for the kids who grew up with the prequels.
Yeah.
That's all it was going to be. It was fan service to the fans that are not hardcore.
Yeah.
It was. And I think going forward,
which I can understand that, because the rest of the movie was catered to the hardcore fans.
Yes, absolutely.
Hard.
Oh, the Pikes. I mean, just that. Including them in that.
I like when movies cater, but I hate when it does it too often.
Right, and I mean, I think Solo found a good balance with that, where they really did cater to the old fans, because with the last couple of movies they didn't.
Rogue One didn't really. I mean, Rogue One did cater, of course, Darth Vader.
Right. I mean, I loved the fact that we finally got to just see Vader doing Vader things and just slaughtering a bunch of people. Leia.
That's the only fans. But the first half of the movie is, which I love the first half of the Rogue One movie, and then up till the end of Battle of the Scarif. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the greatest tie-in I have seen in a movie in a very long time.
You get the main characters dying, which is unexpected.
The Game of Thrones did. Yeah. And then you tie it into like an hour after that movie ends, A New Hope starts.
Yeah. And the one thing that they do have to be careful with, and as much as I do love Rogue One, the common criticism...
I used to work with that guy.
Really? Yeah. Interesting. The one thing I will say about the introduction, that first half of Rogue One, is that if you are just the average moviegoer and you're going to see Rogue One, you are completely lost in that first half. You have absolutely no idea. If you're a hardcore fan and you read Rogue One or Star Wars Catalyst, the lead up to Rogue One, you got the backstory about Jyn Erso. You got the backstory about Galen Erso and Lyra, and how her relationship with Orson Krennic became so just a disputed battle all the time. And Rogue One and these spin-off films have to be very, very careful. Solo is different because it's Han Solo, it's Chewbacca, it's the Millennium Falcon. That's where it's at. But with a film like Rogue One, and you're really trying to spin off, and you're trying to tell a story that hasn't been told yet.
I mean, it's Rogue One is a story that's been told, but it's kind of
been told, but it hasn't been told on the screen.
Right.
It was conversation between fans for many years. What happened between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope? What happened in between there?
The thing I like about the Clone Wars series is a story that's it's brand new, but it brings old elements. Because Ahsoka's a brand new character who came in.
Right.
One of the things that I really liked about Rogue One, and it's actually, I think, the thing that I like the most about Rogue One is you can watch that movie having never seen a Star Wars movie before. And when you go into it, you don't know who's good and who's evil. You watch Cassian Andor shoot another man in cold blood because he can't move fast enough and he's not going to stay quiet.
Apart.
Right. So he shoots him in the back, and he doesn't even do them the courtesy of look at him in the eye when he shoots him. He shoots him in the back.
Yeah, he just turns
and it's you really don't have a defined sense of good and evil through the entire movie.
It's true.
Up until you start realizing that, wow, these Empire guys kind of really suck. Yeah. And you really get hooked on the Star Wars movies just from watching that one. And personally, if I were going into the Star Wars franchise never having seen them before, and I saw Rogue One first, I'd want to watch everything else.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
I'd want to watch everything else.
And what Rogue One does that not many Star Wars films, and I love the point that you made, James, about the new trilogy, is that the new trilogy is for families. That's their focus. That's what they're really trying to push, is the family concept. The spin-off films, Solo's different. Solo's different because it had a job to do. It had to tell the story about how Han and Chewie met, and it had to do that. Lucasfilm's marketing approach with these films, the sequel trilogy, is to say, this is a way to get the next generation into Star Wars, that generation. However, the spin-off films is our way of saying, you know what, for those who don't necessarily need to be educated and have to fall into that category, we're going to give you the stories that probably you've been wanting for a very long time. And that's why I never get it when people say, well, Solo, a Star Wars story, is something that we don't want. We never asked for it. Well, you don't have to ask for it, though, because they're still going to make it.
Yeah.
They're still going to make it.
Frankly, I wanted it. Yeah. As soon as I knew it was going to happen, I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think they're doing right with the spin-off movies here is you have a lot of characters that you see once and you're never going to see again.
Right. Which is nice.
You're kind of seeing like the seedier underbelly of the Star Wars universe. And I think they could do a lot of things with TV series and movies where you see what a Star Wars character who is a smuggler or something like that has to go through on a day-to-day basis just to survive.
Yeah.
And then you end up with something like, it's almost like a Firefly type thing where you've got a crew, you've got a ship, and you're just trying to make it day to day. And seeing that aspect of it and seeing all these kind of like one-off interesting characters, it adds an element of diversity to the Star Wars universe.
It does. Yep.
It adds an element of believability to the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
And it adds an element of you can relate more to the universe, realizing that there's more to it than just this one storyline.
And that's what I liked about Rogue One. With each individual, like Chirrut Imwe is one of my favorite characters.
One-off character.
One of my favorite one-off characters in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, I still wanted to learn more about him, what he did.
It's still kind of the linear plot, though, for that movie. I'm talking specifically about Solo because
it's like this.
It is really like this. It's like girl plans, dies, and then with Solo, you actually get the concept that you're in this actual galaxy, this massive, this galaxy that has, statistically speaking, 2 to 3 times more stars than the Milky Way galaxy. It's a massive place.
It galaxy builds.
Right. And you're actually getting the sense that there's more to it than just these 3 or 4 worlds that you've seen in the movies.
Yeah. Yeah. You see that with the Kessel Run and Lando and Kira and everybody, and then they get sucked in. And then
that also, that added a little bit more of, there are other things in the Star Wars universe that are friggin' scary, like that big monster thingy that was attacking the Falcon and all that.
What's the name of that?
I don't even know, man. But you're
something Nebula.
Yeah. It was something. But you're getting the sense that there's actually these really big, scary things in the Star Wars universe that we haven't really seen yet. You know, beyond a Rancor here and there and a Sarlacc at one point, and you know, there's none of these like big, right?
Like where's all the big creatures?
None of these big spacefaring monsters that you read about.
Big Booba fish.
Big Booba fish. That was one of my favorite parts of the Phantom Menace.
I really liked that scene.
Right. I liked it because mostly Jar Jar Binks didn't talk for like the second half.
I love that answer.
But I liked the Liam Neeson line of "There's always a bigger fish." And then when you go into the lore, he was connecting with the big Sando Aqua monster. Yeah, and he comes and just takes the clawfish, and he's like, "Yep, I did that." I'm Liam Neeson. I have a very particular set of skills, and I will make eat something smaller than it.
Very much like Ezra Bridger.
Exactly.
Right. Right with the Purgles.
Yep.
Summoned them and did what he did.
Yep. Purgles. That's another big spacefaring monster that I love.
Space whales.
Love to see. I love to So this is not off topic, but I would love to see Ezra and Thrawn comic together.
It could happen. It could. It could.
I would like to see. You guys know the father, the son, and the daughter for the.
Oh yes.
I'd like to see them actually bring the mother into it. Are you familiar with her lore?
Somewhat.
She is the most destructive. She's like Thanos for the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, Mama's not somebody you mess with.
She was locked up in I can't remember what her name was off the top of my head. It starts with an A and it's like really like cryptic sounding. But she was imprisoned in the Maw. Yeah. The Maw was set up by the ancient race. They pulled these black holes into a ring around
and
her.
the Maw is what was in Solo. That's what I'm thinking of.
The Maw was originally a prison for her. She leaves. She escapes. The force veil that goes through the unknown regions is supposedly what's keeping her out of the rest of the galaxy. Right. And at one point, Luke Skywalker in Legends goes and defeats her and actually ends up siding with this group of dark Jedi and Yuzan Vong, I believe it was, to actually use it. Yeah, it was Yuzan Vong to overthrow her and her dark Jedi counterparts. And Abeloth. Yes, that was it. I would really like to see them bring that in at some point.
That'd be cool.
You've got the biggest and the bad of the bad, and you've got all these new villains coming out. Why not just go the opposite direction? Take the Warhammer route and find something unimaginably old and terrifying that has taken up residence in your galaxy.
More than Snoke.
Yeah. Screw Snoke, dude.
I know. When you think about it, there is more out there.
Yeah. And Snoke was not 1,000 years old. He was, and they put his birth at like 17 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's not that old. He's just horribly deformed.
He's probably as old.
Right. Yoda would have sensed him. And that's kind of like when we went on that whole tangent about like, in order for Yoda not to sense something that powerful, I mean, he would have had to be the puppet master.
Yeah, to sense the small thing like Palpatine amongst the grand of what Thrawn, or not Thrawn, of what Supreme Leader Snoke was. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, he would have had to sense Snoke, but he would have been able to pinpoint that because that would have been a massive source of dark energy.
Correct.
And I think that's
who he would have sought out.
Snoke coming to power and Luke severing his connection with the Force was that's what allowed that to happen.
Yeah. It's true.
But I'd like to see something ancient, something big, something bad, something scary come back into life.
Yeah. I just want something Star Wars dark, something dark, and we didn't get any, like we really have anything in.
We got a taste of it in Rogue One.
A little bit, but
a little bit.
Other than that, none. Not many.
Other than that, it feels like I'm watching a kid's Star Wars TV show when I watch new Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what bugs me.
Solo came off as a giant Rebels episode at times.
Right. That's actually what I liked about Solo, is it wasn't a serious movie. It wasn't one of those movies where you have to be like, oh, this is going to be like canonically great. no, dude, this is gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And that's why I really liked it. Like you had on one end Rogue One, which is like, oh my god, what are they doing to my brain?
Yeah.
And then you have Solo, which is like, I can watch this movie when I'm drunk as hell, and it's still gonna be great.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna go sit in a cantina somewhere and watch Solo on my phone because this is fun. And
there are rarely movies that I go into that make me think. Like when we saw Arrival, it made us.
I don't know that one.
With
well, a couple.
What's her name? Amy Adams.
Amy Adams. Yeah. Forrest Whitaker. See.
Yeah.
See. Now you gotta go see it. And now you gotta rent
Amy Adams in Stars.
Yeah.
I couldn't really place her in Star Wars as a character.
It'd be a tough one.
Yes,
I mean,
really is how many? Yes, I couldn't really see her playing a big part in Star Wars. I mean, she's a fantastic actress and she's gorgeous, but I just I couldn't see her in Star Wars.
Yeah, interesting. I don't even know where to go from that.
Actually, we were talking about Arrival and saying how
it makes you think.
Yeah, I want a movie that makes me think. For a Star Wars movie to make me really, really think and make me confused.
You want to be confused?
So
I like being confused. It makes me think.
I'm gonna postulate something here.
Nice word. Between the Lions style.
Between the Lions. Wow, that took me back to my childhood for a second. One of my favorite actors, and we mentioned him briefly earlier, was Sean Bean.
Yeah.
And the one thing that really bothers me about Sean Bean is I never really get to see him in a role where he doesn't die. He likes dying a lot in his roles. You know, get your head cut off, have satellite dish dropped on you, get shot full of arrows, something like that. You know, so whether you're Alec Trevelyan, Boromir, or Ned Stark.
Yeah, why not?
Rest in pieces.
Right, many pieces. 2 in a couple of cases. And I would really like to see Sean Bean get cast as the newly canonized Exar Kun, even if it's just as a voice actor.
Yeah.
Because I think that once we see Exar Kun as the powerful entity that he became, he was older. He wasn't, he was middle-aged and everything. So I think that Sean Bean could fill that role quite well. And you have enough younger, talented actors who could fill in the gaps if there's ever a flashback scene or something like that. But having him cast in a role like that as one of the old, villains, the Sith Lords, I think he would really shine in a role like that, or an actor like him. And that's kind of like what I've been saying is getting these older, more established actors, Anthony Hopkins, Sean Bean, and Patrick Stewart's got Star Trek. He doesn't need Star Wars. He's got Ian McKellen into the Star Wars universe. I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about Emma Stone, right?
You guys mentioned that last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a better one. Dr. Aphra.
I could actually. That's actually a role I could see Amy Adams in.
Oh.
Amy Adams is Dr. Aphra?
I think Amy Adams could do Dr. Aphra.
Really?
Wow. To be fair, though, I think a better choice for Dr. Aphra would be Felicity Jones from Arrow, the lady who plays Felicity Jones in Arrow.
But Felicity Jones is Jyn Erso.
You mean Jessica Jones?
Felicity.
Jessica Ritter?
No, Felicity.
Oh, Felicity.
The blonde lady with the glasses who's an Arrow, who's the guy who goes along with him all the time.
Oh, what's her name?
Her name is Felicity in the show, not Felicity Jones. Felicity.
No, I'm thinking of it. Who played Jessica Jones?
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, Kristen Ritter. Yep.
She has that snarky. Oh, her character in Jessica Jones. We know she's a snarky bitch.
Felicity Smoke. That's the role that it even says online. Like when you look at some of her
Felicity
stuff
Smoke
from behind the scenes, it's like it says "Play Sassy Bitch" right on.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Who's that?
Felicity Smoke. She's played by Emily Rickards.
Yeah.
Right. I think that she would be fantastic as Dr. Aphra.
Oh, that's a good one.
Given her performance as Felicity Smoke. Not Felicity Jones. Sorry, I'm bad with names.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, that I'm just going to kind of bring up quickly before we get to the wrapping period here on the second half of BCB Live is the whole idea of I want to see voice actors go and play their roles at some point. I want to see
as Ahsoka Tano.
Yes, Ashley Eckstein actually gets into the Ahsoka outfit. Harrison Dula, you actually get Vanessa Williams to come in and play Harrison Dula. You get Freddie Prinze Jr. to come in and play Kanan Jarrus.
I could totally see that.
I could not see Freddie Prinze Jr. dressing up as Kanan Jarrus.
See, I say opposite, but that's...
I really couldn't. He's too old to play the role now. And honestly, if you want to cast Kanan Jarrus and you want to have somebody who can do that temperamental side, Jason Momoa as Kanan Jarrus.
I can't see that.
That's an interesting one. I'd have to take a look at some pictures.
Have you seen Stargate Atlantis?
No.
Go watch Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah,
watch his performance as Ronan Dex, and then tell me you can't see him playing Kanan Jarrus.
All right.
He'd have to thin himself out a little bit.
Actually, here, hold on. And he wouldn't. I wouldn't even say that.
So while James,
I'll look this up for afterwards.
Yeah. So while James is looking that up, I think we've really broken down a lot of different. We've talked more here in this session than we usually do on a BCB Live or even on a podcast. So make sure to check out this feed, guys. This will be up on iTunes very, very soon, amongst the other 15 to 20 podcasts I've been working on and cranking out. So please make sure to keep it locked at the website, www.brickcityblockade.com, for all the new releases. Once I get over this cold and everything else, be back in shape. And
try not to end up in the hospital again.
Yeah, I'm trying not to move to that direction at all. But with BCB Live and anything that we do here at the Podcast Network, we've gotten to that time of the show. That's right. It's a little thing, and hopefully people out there can say it right now. Hey, folks out there, it's a little thing we like to call
Plug Time.
Plug Time.
Plug Time here at the BrickCityBlockade.com Podcast Network, and on fucking BCB Live.
Absolutely.
Right. Let's start over here this time.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at I'm Not Really Him 9. You can also find me on Instagram at, and this is what I'm looking up here right now, voiceover acting 1212, because I completely forgot what it was. You can also find me on Facebook at I'm pretty much just James Brown, but I'm under the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network page, and you can also find me online at www.brickcityblockade.com.
Oh, sorry, hold on. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean Michaud 1. Follow my Instagram at It's Zone Z. Follow me and friend me on Facebook. And follow me on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
And SoundCloud.
Awesome. You guys can check me out over on Twitter at Mr. Vogt Tweets. Make sure, this is the second time I've talked to Mr. Vogt Treats. I always give the fandom a little bit of something to chew on. Also, please make sure to head on over to Instagram. Follow me over there at The Official Vote and all my tomfoolery there. Make sure to check out Brick City Blockade at www.brickcityblockade.com for everything happening in a galaxy far, far away. Also, please make sure to check out our event on September 29th at the mall at Fox Run to benefit Starlight Children's Foundation. It's going to be an epic, awesome event. We're super excited to be there. There'll be some great giveaways, some raffle items. Maybe you'll see Darth Vader, maybe you won't. We'll find out very, very soon. I'm thinking yes. And make sure to support Starlight Children's Foundation. Head to Salsa Labs, SALSA Labs .starlight.org/Brick City Blockade podcast page. I'll send that link out once everybody has checked out this episode. It'll probably be in the link description right down there so that you can check that out. And as we always say here at BCB Live and at the Podcast Network,
may the force be with you.
Always.
And sometimes maybe with your parents too, and with your grandmother and with your uncle. Because, you know, when you go out to family gatherings, you never know who you're going to see. You might run into Qui-Gon Jinn. You might run into Obi-Wan Kenobi. You never know.
You might run into Gundy.
Might run into Gundy Kenobi.
That's true.
You got to watch yourself when that happens.
Run.